I would say this one. I just got this one not too long ago. "Season for Love" from 1970. Uh, can you tell me much about this one? This record. You know what? I remember you said on your website or on YouTube, you said that basically you were looking for like an AM pop soul sort of a thing, or more pop. And you know what? I avoided this record, frankly, because of that. But I just recently got into it, and I honestly feel like this is the sound of falling in love. This is just like immense and clearly, and correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, as you're talking about, you can tell me, but um, there's a lot of John Florez on there on this, isn't there? Because there's just a lot of amazing string work all across this record. So yeah, tell me about how this album became, and anything you might remember. I mean, we're talking a long time ago, but with these sessions, which again, again, this is another record that I'm like, this record should have been multi platinum. It makes no sense to me. But anyway, about "Season for Love."
Thank you for asking about Season for Love. This starts with the end of Soul Portrait being out there and doing absolutely nothing. Now, you can edit this out if you want, but it was a payola world and RCA wasn't participating in that. So there were
By
other
the way,
labels that were,
sorry to interrupt, John, but I will not edit that out, and that's because just as a quick aside is just basically because you know what, the fact that you talk about that, I think, is brilliant and should be talked about, because these are the real conditions on the ground, and why some records are just like fantastic but do nothing, and why I'm not going to say garbage, but garbage does extremely well. And I mean, it just is what it is. So you lending this this truth is absolutely something everybody needs to know and understand, because that's the thing. Nobody talks about this stuff, right?
oh, I was with Lenny Warnaker years later and said, let's talk about it. And he said, no, I don't know what you're talking about, and I don't want to talk about it. So yeah, some people did want to talk about it and others didn't. But back in those days, RCA had no payola budget, and the Soul Portrait came out and did absolutely nothing. I really believe that a love that's worth having off of that is his classic off of that.
Absolutely.
Uh,
I totally agree. That song is so immense. It's just giant. Anyway, continue.
I believe that's his Otis Redding type of impact that he might have made had there been a payola budget. But that being said, that album had been out, and I heard this voice coming down the corridor at RCA LA toward my office, and it's Harvey Cooper, who became my partner twice over the years, but I hadn't met him at this point. He was head of promotion for RCA out of New York, and he was loudly, with four-letter expletives, talking about how awful the Soul Portrait album was. And
Sure.
I thought, oh my God, even the head of promotion hates it. No wonder we're not doing anything. So a light bulb goes off, and maybe shouldn't have. But Willie's a romantic. Willie likes to show that he can write romantically. So this album, "Season for Love," is a romance, a lover's album. This is to fall in love to. Fine. But Willie didn't know we were going to do that. Willie, I don't know how the world works or how God works or spiritually how stuff works, but the universe brought him a personal manager at this time, and he didn't have one prior to that. And management was key to X being successful, and he chose J.W. Alexander. Is that, I hope J.W. is
Yeah,
right.
that sounds
Even though
correct. Yeah.
Sam Cooke's manager,
Okay. Yeah.
and and Sam Cooke was a legend on RCA. So I said, wait a minute, Willie, if we do Sam Cooke type love song material, first, you got him as a manager. Secondly, once we go that degree of, what would you call it, pop, much more so than pop R&B, pop, the pop division will take this record and not the R&B division, and maybe you'll have a chance because the R&B division is not supporting you. So we cut it, and Perry Botkin did most of the arrangements, the string and brass and vocal charts on that, and he's my lifelong friend. And Willie at one point came and said, "You're making me sound like Sam Cooke or sound like, Johnny Mathis or whatever." And I said, no, that was what we were going to do. So we're doing it. His personal favorite off of it was "Walking on My Love." He believed that might have had a shot with that because it was the closest to being pop R&B on that album.
Mm-hmm.
So we finished that album, and it's very pop. It's middle of the road pop on purpose. And the head of the R&B division in New York calls and says, "What in the hell have you done?" And I said, I beg your pardon? And he said, "We can't promote this shit." He said, "This is a pop album. This is a pop album." I said, "I know. We know. It belongs in the pop division." He says, "John, I'm black. He's black. He's on my artist. I'm sorry. He's on my roster. He's black." Yeah. I said, "The music isn't." And he said, "I don't care. He's on my roster, and I certainly can't promote that." And I said, "Well, you weren't promoting the other either. So now what am I supposed to do?" So in the meantime, I have lost the Friends of Distinction because of a dispute with Jim Brown and management that I had. And Willie isn't being promoted. So I've got no main act, which was the Friends, and Willie isn't being promoted. And that's when I put in my notice that I was going to leave the label, because I thought I just give up. I mean, I'm sorry.